Hey everybody, welcome to episode 2. Startup Food and Beverage Operations with John Schiaroli. It's Monday, a really rainy Monday. Hope everyone's doing well. Hope you had a great weekend. Today we're going to talk a little bit about inventory control. Call it Where's My Stuff. Seen this a lot. Been fortunate to have been a part of some great teams that have done amazing things, but I didn't know where anything was. I didn't know how many things they had, where they are, where they put them, what their costs on the books were, et cetera, et cetera. And while this may not seem super exciting, I would argue it's probably one of the most important disciplines to put into the business. Having an idea of where all of your things are really help you do a lot of things. And so inventory control, why it's important, helps you identify how much stuff you have, how much money you've laid out, how much money you've spent, and what are your owned assets. Provides you visibility into your usage. So if you're a food and beverage company, you're using stuff, you're buying things, you're manufacturing things, whether they're on the production line or there's kitting of things going together. So it allows you to see not just how many you have, but how many are being used and being pulled out of inventory. Also can be a great tool to help you identify when you need to reorder things. Some companies call them order points, some companies call it having a min-max level set up where you drop below a certain threshold. It then triggers a repurchase in the event, so you make sure you always have consistent inventory. And in the manufacturing process, it also could be used to identify waste. Sometimes if it takes two widgets plus a third widget to make a single widget, you may do an inventory reconciliation, which is, if you're not familiar with that term, going back and counting to make sure that what's on the books actually physically is on hand. You may see this big delta. So you may be able to start to see some trends about what is the usage like. Am I using too much product to make whatever my snack is, my drink is? So inventory control is really important. Again, how much do I have? Where is it? What's my usage look like? How am I tracking all of those things? So a lot of companies say, I don't have an ERP system. I don't have I can't afford to get into NetSuite or SAP or any of these things. And there's definitely some of you that are going to be watching this that do have those tools, or you have some form of a tool. Maybe you have QuickBooks. That doesn't mean you can't track your inventory. It may be a little bit more manual, but that's okay. Especially when you're starting up. Every penny that you have in your possession that you're using, you want to know where it's being used and want to have track of it. So even just using a tool in Excel or Google Suite where you can use a Google Sheet, I would say a really good way to set that up is just have an inventory sheet, one workbook, and each tab in that workbook, one could be finished goods, one could be ingredients. And I would identify and use some discipline around data integrity. And what I mean by data integrity is you want to start to organize all the things that you have in your inventory, whether it's finished goods, ingredients, or packaging, in a nomenclature and or a naming convention that there's logic behind and people can understand. Think about it in a way where if I hire anyone and they took a look at my inventory sheet and they looked at the ingredient sheets, they looked at the description, and they would see a commonality in how things were described. So for example, when I've seen this at many startup companies, they start and take a look at ingredients and they may have the prefix to whatever the item is as ing. So it could be, let's make believe you make this beverage, and in the beverage there's cane sugar and there's orange flavor and there is citric acid. So you have 3 ingredients. So the most simple way to classify those in your inventory would be potentially to start with ing dash citric acid, ing dash whatever the next flavoring is, ing dash cane sugar. Packaging the same way. It goes in a bottle. There's a closure, there's a label, there's a box. I would suggest basics for now. Packaging would start with PKG. So it means packaging. So PKG dash 6-count box, PKG-12-ounce bottle. And be very descriptive of what it is and be consistent. So if you pack in a 12-ounce bottle today, and maybe you go to a 24-ounce bottle and then a 32-ounce bottle, the naming convention should look the same. PKG-12OZ bottle. PKG-20OZ bottle. So those are some ways to create some consistencies. I've seen it done a lot of different ways. This is not necessarily the best way or the only way, but it's a way to start keeping things organized. Packaging, sometimes people do, packaging ingredients, sometimes people will do it a little bit different. Well, they'll start with the prefix of what the item is. They may start with bottle-PKG-10-ounce, bottle-PKG-20-ounce, etc., etc. Same thing on your finished goods. So you have your ingredients, a bunch of your ingredients together with your packaging makes a finished good. What do you call those finished goods? I would say, to keep it basic for now, you just start with FG, and it means something. It means finished good, dash, and you describe what it is, so that when anyone's looking at it, especially in younger companies, there's just some logic behind it and it's consistent. What I'd say the biggest challenge in doing it manually is that you're forced to create the discipline around a naming convention that's consistent. So if you're finished goods dash 12-ounce dash 6-pack dash orange juice, then the next naming convention for the next one should follow the exact same nomenclature. It shouldn't be with other added things. It should be, where am I starting as a finished good? What is the case count or total count? What is the flavor if it's a flavor? And that's it. So just keeping it really simple. There's other ways to do it, but this is really, really basic if you're just getting started. If you start to get into other systems, it'll force you to do some things. So if you start getting into even just QuickBooks, which is a really, really great tool, and I've seen many companies grow to almost $100 million in revenue using QuickBooks without having to get really sexy systems like SAP or NetSuite or any of these tools, which are fantastic tools. QuickBooks does the same thing. It allows you to see your usage. It allows you to know where you have your inventory. It allows you to set up different warehouses. So the reason it's important, if you're not in any systems, to start creating data integrity is so that when you migrate and you grow and you want to get into a system, even if it's a QuickBooks, at least you have some naming conventions and some product descriptions that are easy to load over, and there's logic behind it. So there's so much more to talk about in regards to inventory control. Those are really the basics. If you have any specific questions, I'm happy to answer. Just shoot me over an email. You'll see it here at the bottom of the screen. You can send me over an email. And I look forward to seeing you guys in a couple weeks. TBD on what the topic's going to be, but I hope it's exciting. Hope everyone's safe. Stay dry if you're in the Northeast, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Be well.